Welcome to Six in the Six. Tonight's fabulous guest, Ellie Hilling Rothfuss. Welcome to the show, Ellie.
Hello.
How's it going?
It is going great.
All right. Well,
A
I
fun
haven't.
way, fun way to end my night before I go to
Yeah.
sleep.
Well. Hopefully, let's see what it's when we get through the end of it here. I haven't seen
Yeah.
you in a while, but before we get going here, we must play the fabulous intro music. Grand entrance. Wait for it.
Ah,
And there we go. Can you think of a better goalie entrance?
that is great. I love it.
So, wow, how long has it been? Not quite a year since I've seen you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What probably Aces
Yeah, Aces.
practice, right? Aces goalie work, like was it last winter or
Yeah,
last?
yeah, last winter was it 22 or did you not come back in 22? I can't remember.
Hmm. Oh yeah, wait, actually it was last winter. Not this past one, but 2 winters ago, I think.
Yeah,
This
wow.
past winter I was with U of R, yeah.
It's been a long time. So I
Yeah.
forgot in the introduction, Ellie, assistant coach for the U of R Yellow Jackets. How's that been going?
Really good. Um, yeah, I I am really enjoying it. I think I've it was a bit of a transition for me from playing Division 1 to now all I knew to now coaching at a Division 3 level. Um, but I definitely think it's a little bit more my pace now that I'm um a little bit older, and yeah, it's nice to be like close to home, and I'm really enjoying it. It's going really well.
Yeah, definitely. You were at Brighton High School as an assistant between this and Geneseo, I think you coached at, right?
Yeah, so I helped out a little bit of Geneseo. Oh, I don't even know when. After I graduated from Notre Dame in 13, and then I moved to Boston for a year, worked for a lacrosse program there for a little bit, and then moved back home, got my master's at Brockport. And I was kind of helping out at Geneseo with Carly Richland, the University of Rochester head coach now. And we really enjoyed working together, but it just like the commute every day ended up being a little bit much. And then a position opened up for me at Brighton working with the goalies, which is where I went. So that was pretty cool. So I did that for about 5 or 6 years. And then I transitioned over to help out at the U of R with Carly Richland. So
And that's only like a small piece of your coaching resume. Club level aces, it's where I met you. Um,
yeah,
you also did F50, I believe, and even I think I saw Common Goal at some point.
yeah. I helped out with, oh my God, Relentless Hustle a while ago while I was in college a little bit, and then Common Goal. And then I kind of stepped back from that and started with F50 that focused more on, with Common Goal, I was more of like a coach, like a team coach. And I kind of wanted to focus more on the goal aspect. So Nick Fiorentino, who runs F50, reached out. So I've been with him for a while now, just doing more goalie focused stuff. Um, and then Aces, and then once U of R happened, I kind of had to step away from that a little bit. So been all over the place.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good way to build up those skill sets and maybe discover what you didn't like. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like two paths get followed. One is kind of the one you took, where you come out of a specialized position like goalie that you played at a high level for quite a while, and I've seen some people decide to go back in and just kind of stay in their niche. And maybe branch out into draw work a little bit because it seems to be very similar from a mindset standpoint of how you teach it. But the other side I've seen is us goalie coaches decide we want to coach more and more, full teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why'd you decide to come back home to your goalie roots and coach goalies?
I That's a really good question. I don't I mean, I think a big piece of it is like so I went back and got my master's in counseling. So like the mental health aspect is pretty important to me and something that I'm really interested in. And I just think with goalies, I think first of all, it's like I lack a little bit of confidence when it comes to the other parts of the field. Um, I think maybe sometimes I don't give myself enough credit when it comes to like the attack midfield and defensive aspects of the game. But and even with goalie, I mean, I've learned like more, I think I've learned more about the position after I played in college than I did growing up. Like I mean, I had a great goalie coach growing up at Brighton. But I've learned so much just from like working with you and Nick and um like just being on the other end of things. So I'm kind of rambling, but I that is a piece that I know the mental aspect is so huge, and I think that's something that I really value is that mental piece and making sure that especially as a goalie, it's so critical. Um, and also it's just what I feel like I know best. Whereas when I was coaching the whole field, it was a little bit, I don't know, I didn't have like the confidence really with that part of the game, I guess, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I get it totally. A couple things hit home there. I think that the confidence in the rest of the game and positions is something I feel a lot too. But it's funny when I'm helping out programs around town, I'll be called on to maybe jump in and help or something. And actually, I don't want to say I surprise myself, but I kind of surprise myself. Like, oh, did I just say
Yeah,
that? Almost made sense.
yeah,
But
definitely.
I think the other, it's really interesting. I said us goalie coaches tend to drift into draw work sometimes, but the mindset piece of it, I've gone back and received a couple of mindset certifications just to help the goalies through with their mental performance side of things because it's such a high stress, high pressure position for them to deal with, and I think just having somebody that can help them through that, and especially in your case, somebody who's actually lived through that, is
Yeah,
super valuable.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think the other interesting thing you said was learning more that you're done playing. I'm a big believer in trying to get the goalies I work with into like some kind of mentorship or something
yeah,
with my company to help start coaching themselves because it's amazing. You can see the light bulbs go on when they're teaching somebody
yeah,
else and like, oh, hold on, am I doing that?
yeah. I I completely agree. It's like it's honestly it I I kick myself sometimes because I'm like, if I only knew this when I was playing in college, I would have been, that much better, I think. So it's interesting, um, just how much I've learned after the fact of playing in college. It's pretty cool though.
Yeah, but that you would have been that much better. We'll get to that. But when I was digging through my research, there's quite a few accolades there from UND. I'd like to know what you would thought better would have meant. Um, but yeah, you know what? I think the funny it just hit me too. The other thing is, I think um, you and I and all of our peers coaching goalies are filling a huge niche too. I am constantly amazed at um, the lack of goalie coaches throughout programs. It's at all
Yeah,
different levels. It's kind of I'm just not. It confuses me to know why we don't get more love in our position.
yeah, I agree.
Right.
I think there's definitely more than there ever has been. Like I think back to growing up. I mean, I was very fortunate at Brighton. Rich Curtis, um, really like understood the importance of having a goalie coach. So, and and back then I thought that was just normal to have a goalie coach. And like as I learned, going through college and coaching club lacrosse and stuff, I'm like, that was not super typical. Like a lot of goalies don't get that. I think it seems like there's been a little bit more of an increase in that focus on getting goalies like the work that they need, that they, deserve and need. But definitely not to the place of that it really should be, I think.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts about I mean, why there may be more attention to it, more coaches getting into the specialization of it. I kind of think it's partially to do with, well, I guess water goes where it's needed to fill something in one regard, but the other hand, I think the athleticism and the speed development and stuff in the women's game over the last, I'd say, 8 to 10 years, I think has
Yeah.
kind of put a spotlight on the importance of that as well. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think also with um I mean, I'm not sure how much of an impact this has, but I'm just as you're talking, I'm thinking of like the shot clock that's now in women's lacrosse. So I think that automatically it seems like that would increase the amount of shots on goal also. Um, which I think maybe I don't know, back like even when I played in high school, I know there was a lot of stalling. And you could kind of, it seemed like you could hide maybe a weaker goalie a little bit better with a more solid defense. But now, and I wonder if it is, I mean, I haven't really like looked into it much, but just as you're talking about this, it kind of came to mind. I wonder if it is because of the whole shot clock. I mean, that's only been the past couple of years though, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
three, maybe
Yeah.
four on the long end.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and just as like these like sticks are developing and players are really like, I mean, when I played in high school, club was like kind of a thing. It wasn't, like I played in like a couple tournaments over my sophomore summer. Um, and now it is so like everyone is playing club. And so that's just, you know, increasing the skill level of the field players and their shooting and these like new crazy sticks that they have. And so I think that all kind of contributes to it too, is just um like girls are better at younger ages than they were, you know, and getting to the goal and like taking all these really great shots, great angle shots and stuff. It makes it so that you can't hide your goalie as much anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the equipment advances definitely play into that as well. Like you said, just the shot quality, the shot speeds and things. You got me
Yeah.
thinking too, talking about shot clock. I mean, how much the game has changed in terms of the goalie being more of a quarterback perhaps than
Yeah.
before. I mean, when you could stall before, there was no pressure to get the ball out on a good clear, right? You could wait half the
Yeah.
game and find someone who was open.
That
Now it's
too.
got to be like
Yeah.
bam, bam, run that route.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. I was thinking of it from like the perspective of being on offense, stalling the ball. There's not as many shots, because offensively you're able to stall more. But I didn't even think about it from that perspective of like being a goalie and having to get the ball out and get a successful clear out. That's a really good point.
And that actually plays in pretty good to the my default philosophy in coaching the young ones is, to kind of make them that eighth defender, a very aggressive goalie. I think that plays into the modern game. Nothing wrong with a stay-at-home goalie. Arguably one of the best
Mhm.
in ever was a stay-at-home goalie. Only Twerton
Yeah.
ever. So
Yeah.
So let's back it up a little bit. I got all excited and jumped right into your coaching stuff because it took up half my page. But how did Ellie get started between the pipes?
Yeah, so I so soccer was like my game. It was like my first love was soccer, and I played center midfield in soccer, which I loved because I was like a part of every play. I was, offense, defense. I loved that I was a part of everything and able to, you know, do everything on the field. Which is pretty ironic because I ended up playing goalie in lacrosse. Um, but our so I was starting to play lacrosse in like fifth, sixth grade, and I figured, oh well, I play midfield in soccer, I'll play midfield in lacrosse. And then our goalie at Brighton, she was the modified goalie who was the year above, and she was in seventh grade. She wasn't at a practice one night, and so, it was one of those, who wants to try goalie tonight? We need someone to stand in goal and just get pelted. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And I mean, I think that's a lot of times how you can tell if someone is a goalie or not, is just when they jump in, how they react, right? If they're kind of moving away from the ball, that's not a great sign. Um, so I guess I was not scared of the ball, and Rich Curtis, who's the Brighton varsity coach, was like, "All right, you are goalie from now on." So I fought it for a bit because, again, I didn't like to be, it like kind of sucks sometimes when you're just in the crease and you're like, picking dandelions and the ball's at the other end, and I was so used to soccer being everywhere. Um, but then, yeah, I played JV in seventh grade. So I was up on JV my first year. And then eighth grade, they pulled me up to varsity to be the backup varsity goalie. Um, and then the goalie graduated. So then freshman year through senior year of high school, I was the starting goalie for Brighton. So that also kind of worked out for me and made me really love it even more because I was playing and we had a really good team and program. So yeah, that's kind of how it all happened.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It seems to be either that way it starts, where oh, we need someone to stand in there and collect bruises, or you have a couple
Yeah.
older brothers who just kind of wound up and
Yeah.
fired at you all the time. It seems to be one of those two. So you
Yeah.
talked about a fairly good Brighton team. I think didn't you guys won like four Section 5 titles during your stay there, didn't you? And maybe went to the state finals a
Yeah.
couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. We won states my eighth grade year, which was really cool to be a part of. I was on the team and at states, but I wasn't playing it. I was the backup at the time. So that was really cool to be a part of that. Um, and like Hillary Bowen and Danielle Spencer were on the team, and they went off to play at Northwestern and win a bunch of, there. It was really cool to be a part of that. And then, yeah, we won sectionals for a while. Actually, we lost my senior year to Canandaigua. And that was like the first time in like 10 years or so that we had like lost. So that was pretty crappy.
But your senior year,
But
nonetheless.
yeah, yeah, it was humbling though. So yeah, we had a really good program, really good team. I think there was eight of us in my class, and every single one of us went on to play in college, which was pretty cool. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, so soccer at Brighton too during your time, that seemed to be a pretty good program as well. I think you were a captain maybe at some point there. A couple of undefeated seasons, I believe. What what made you choose the lacrosse path over the soccer path in terms of going on further?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I um honestly, like, I soccer was always kind of my like love. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact of like my position, again, just being able to kind of be all over the place, and I was in, great shape in soccer, and I was um just able to be a little bit more of, it was just more of like a team player position, whereas goalie, you're kind of in your own little bubble. But my like freshman or sophomore year, I started getting some interest from colleges for lacrosse, and that kind of like real, it was exciting as I don't even know how old I was, like 14, 15-year old. Um, and I think too, especially back then, like soccer was just so much more. Lacrosse was still growing. It still is, but it's bigger now than it was obviously back when I was in high school. So I think the chances of me getting recruited for soccer, like I could have played Division 3 with soccer. Whereas lacrosse, it was like I could go top 10 Division 1. I think just especially with my position. So it was a pretty tough decision. Like I really wanted to try and play both in college, but it didn't end up really happening. But I don't know, it kind of worked out. I mean, I still played and I don't anymore, but I played in like some co-ed leagues with soccer and stuff. Um, and I wanted to play club in college too, but they wouldn't let me just because of like the whole injury thing,
That's
getting
boy, it's tough
injured and
to try to
yeah.
play too, especially
Yeah.
high level.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm thinking, I don't know the exact date of all these recruiting rule changes, but you were getting recruited before the what junior summer of junior year, I think.
Yeah, I can't keep track of it either because it's like the whole thing is so wacky and I feel like it's changed so much and it's just I don't know. I tough to keep up with, but um coaches were able to reach out reach out to us like it was my sophomore year. Or maybe it was my freshman sophomore year. I was getting some letters in the mail. It was just kind of we're interested in you.
Yeah,
And obviously it was super exciting, but I ended up committing my junior year, which I think ended up being pretty typical then. Um, but yeah, the coaches were able to reach out to you or like show some sort of interest before then. At least from what I remember.
yeah. Was that at the time, was that a kind of a big relief for you? I think as you're going up through your kind of high school years, freshman, sophomore, it's the anxiety keeps building up through your 4 years to, oh my gosh, what am I going to do afterwards? And is anyone going to want me? Was that kind of
Yeah,
a relief having those first couple letters come in and be like, oh yeah, I've got this.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it definitely kept me like more focused too, I think, because I was like, holy cow, like this is could like really end up being a great opportunity. And so it definitely kept me a little bit more focused, like academically and athletically, I think too. Just it was obviously really exciting and like, kind of surprising, but it kept me kind of on track. And then it was just cool to kind of do research and look into these different schools and yeah, it was just nice knowing that like like some schools were interested. I'm like, all right, I'm doing the right thing. I'm improving and
Right.
um, yeah, for sure.
And I'm not surprised with your mindset and just knowing you that you made the comment that it was keeping you on track. I've seen a number of people, they oh, so and so wants me, and not that they stop working, but they stop putting in
Yeah,
the effort they were to get there to begin with, and it doesn't usually
yeah,
turn out well.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
So you choose UND, University of Notre Dame, 4 year starter, big D1 school. I think earlier you said maybe you would have done better if you had known what you know now back then. But looking through some of the stats, I'd say you fared pretty well with everything finishing up your senior year. I won't actually, you said the year, so I'll say it, 2013. Um,
yeah,
you're not as old as me, don't worry. You had senior year first team IWLCA All West Midwest region honors, all Big East first team honoree, had a number of ND goalie records, led the Big East in save percentage, played in the IWLCA North South All Star game. How could you have been better? What the heck, dude?
I don't know. I mean, I struggled a little bit in college, I think goalie wise. Like I just I don't know. Like I didn't really have a specific goalie coach in college, and I think that was a struggle for me, like going from having someone at Brighton to not. And then, in colleges, a lot of times the assistant coaches, I think I had like three different assistant coaches during my 4 years there, and they were always the goalie coach, but didn't have any really um much history with that. So um I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously like feel very like proud of myself that I went there and started all 4 years, and like feel like I had a good run, but um like there's, just so much I've learned since then that I'm like, why was I not doing this?
Ah,
Like why was I going all the way around to make this save instead of just getting my hands straight there? Like those types of things. I'm like, if I had only known that, I probably would have made a lot more saves. So I guess it's kind of more like that. Um, as I'm teaching this to my goalies now, I'm like, if only I had done this, like this is the way to go. So um, I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, that totally makes sense. And I think it's funny what you said about why did I go this way to save? I'm finding myself a lot now of, asking, hey, did that feel right? Did that? And if you didn't have that stick in your hand and I threw a ball at you in that location, how would you get to it, right? So why did we put this goalie
yeah,
stick in our hand and we do what our mind doesn't? We glitch because our brain's like,
I
hey,
know.
that's not right.
I know.
Really weird that
Exactly.
that goalie stick has magical powers to make us do things unnaturally, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really
That's a
weird.
good point.
So, so kind of being stranded on your own on goalie world in Notre Dame and having assistants that maybe it was kind of a throwback to your, hey, do you want to stand in goal and get things chucked at you for your warm-ups? Um, how much how much did that play into you getting interested in the mental side of the game? Did you start at that point struggling a little bit with your mindset and figuring out maybe if I had some more strategies I could do better?
Yeah, um I definitely struggled a lot my freshman year. Like academically, I would not have gotten into Notre Dame without lacrosse. So I mean, I was always a student that like I worked hard to get B's, and I would always do extra credit. And so I wasn't um I wasn't like school wasn't like super easy to me. I had to work hard to do well. Um which I wouldn't change for the world, because I think that really it's like a great character, characteristic to have. I don't know if that's the right word, but
Yeah,
just the work
definitely.
ethic piece. So definitely going in my freshman year, and there were two other goalies. One was my class, and then one was a senior. So I was ready to like battle it out for the starting position, and then both of them ended up quitting. Um, so my freshman year was like, all right, this here we go. And I think the toughest part was definitely just like getting used to college and being at a really great, you know, school where the academic piece is difficult, and just trying to balance that with also like making this jump from high school to now a top 10 Division I team, and being the only goalie. I know like I never took myself out of drills or anything, which was really a lot, because I think it's now when I coach, I make sure that I'm checking in on my goalies and, hey, you need a minute, hop out, get your head together. And I never, for me, it was like a pride thing, kind of like I was like, and I think I just didn't want to, who wants to shoot on an open goal? So that was really tough for me, like just being in the goal for 2 hours straight, and I was just kind of constantly getting um shots, which I didn't ever have really time or give myself time to reset. So my freshman year, I definitely like struggled just with like balancing everything and but yeah, and then it got better from there and I kind of just um I don't know. I like just figured it out, I guess. And yeah, I don't know if I have a really a great answer, but
I,
that's kind of
I think, yeah, I'm not surprised at, at that at all. Having coached solo goalies for a couple of years at the collegiate level, I can appreciate how difficult that is on the goalie side, both
yeah.
physically and mentally, because there is no, you know, you can't step out and you can't, you need to reset your head. There's nowhere for you to go.
Yeah, I know. It was, yeah, that piece was definitely tough. My sophomore year, we ended up, this was another thing. My sophomore year, we ended up having a girl transfer from um St. Mary's, a college down the street. And while it was like awesome to have someone, it was like a huge change for me because I had went from, when I was in high school, I was the only goalie, like varsity goalie. And then going to college, my freshman year, I was the only goalie, which, had its like pros and cons. And then so I was now kind of getting like a lot less reps, which on one hand was, better, I guess, for like the mental health or the mental aspect, but um it was tough. It was just a tough transition for me to now. I would often end up like going before or after practice or like outside of practice to get more reps because I kind of felt like I wasn't getting enough, I guess. So that was a little bit of a transition for me for sure.
Right. That's I find there an interesting tie-in between that and your comment about having to really work hard at your B's. Just the you know, and again, I know from just you having an incredible work ethic, and I think that just shows in both of those comments. So not surprised over here. So speaking of mindset, I read an interesting thing on your Notre Dame profile that said something about you got pulled out of a game, and I don't know if it was the second half. Some point you got pulled out of a game, and you came back the next game and had like an amazing. You let maybe like 2 goals, 4 goals in the entire game. And I see it, especially watching hockey. I see a lot that the sign of a great goalie is really getting the heck beat out of you one game and being able to come back and have a extremely solid performance. It just shows your I don't know,
Yeah.
your character, your mental toughness. What are your what are your thoughts on how, if you remember that, um, what was going through your head in terms of, you know, first of all, getting the hook in the game, you know, and having that time to think about it on the sideline, just coming back and kicking some butt the next one, if that made sense.
Yeah, yeah. I like I feel like I'm pretty like especially now that I've I'm a counselor and got my master's in like counseling and all the mental health um stuff that goes into it. Like I think I've always been pretty like self-aware. So um like and I think that's really an important piece. Like, and it's tough as a goalie to find this balance of like confident and like you're there and you're going to do the best you can, but also have that short-term memory, but and also like that pressure of like if I don't make the save, I'm going to get pulled, right? Like there's a lot, whereas you really can't think about that. Like you really just have to be like, all right, I'm going to like do the best I can and watch the ball. And a lot of times I would find myself just like kind of refocusing on that, because I think the more you let your brain wander onto like, well, oh my god, I let 3 in and I never knew at the end of any game, I never knew what my how many saves I had, and I still don't even like when you were reading off like the stats, I have no idea like any of that, which I think um just shows that I was just very focused on, I tried to really stay focused on like in the moment what was happening instead of well, if I let one more in, I'm gonna get pulled, or then my save percentage is this, and then you're completely losing sight of what, like, how you're gonna perform the best, which is just focusing on the ball and reacting. I don't know if that makes sense, but I
Oh,
think, yeah,
100%. I
yeah,
tell my goalies that all the time. It's like, first of all, you can't be thinking about, like you said, the ones that went in, because then it also feeds your self-doubt and being like,
yeah,
oh, I really do suck, kind of
yeah,
mentality. So that weighs you
yeah,
down from the backside, if you want. And then if you're thinking into the what ifs, like, oh my gosh, if I don't save this, we'll lose, or if I don't save this, I'll get pulled, or my teammates will talk
yeah,
about me, or the fans will. You can't. One person can't carry the burden of the past and the future and expect to perform in the
yeah,
present. So yeah, that
yeah,
100% makes
exactly.
sense.
Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of times, and I say this to goalies I work with now, like I was like a very active goalie. I think a lot of that came from soccer because I was really, I could not just stay in the crease. Like I loved coming out for ground balls, coming out for interceptions, coming out and playing a little defense around the crease. And a lot of times there were games or days that I wasn't seeing the ball. And I think that you can kind of hide that up a little bit more when you are active outside of the crease, and say you only make a few saves that day, but you came up with 2 interceptions and 2 ground balls, and like helped in transition. So a lot of times I'll tell my goalies, like, if you're feeling off today, then focus on what you kind of can control, which is, communicating to the defense, running, balls shot, misses the net, like you're the first one there to get the ball. Trying to come up with those interceptions and ground balls. So a lot, and then with that would come, I would now start seeing the ball because I was so locked in to kind of whatever I was doing. So I think a lot of times too that I just tried to kind of like, when I played goalie, there was like a lot of layers. It wasn't just making a save or not. It was like, well, I can come up with these ground balls. I can come up with these interceptions. I can make these saves. I can sprint to the back of the net. I can come out and play defense. Um, so I think that definitely helped too, to kind of just like keep my mind focused on what was going on.
I love that, and I always say that our job is to end the other team's possession.
Yeah.
Saving the
Yes.
ball is only a piece of that, but like you said, ground
Yes.
balls, running behind, interceptions, maybe putting a girl down on her backside, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Not that you've ever done that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Never.
No, never. Um, yeah, yeah, I'll have to go find some old game film. See how
Oh,
see how we work.
God.
Yeah, yeah, even the dog doesn't believe it. Um, so at what point during your goalie career did you catch the coaching bug? Did you start to think that, hey, I'd like to try coaching, or I'd be a good coach?
I um I think it was like a mixture of a couple things. Like, as you know, the goalie position is so needed, like the coaching. So people are always looking for goalie coaches, like they're always, I think, um I just think it's like, especially in Rochester right now, that I there's just such a need. And I think especially being like a younger female, right? A lot of these young girl goalies, it's kind of nice for them to have someone that, they can, like really relate to, you know. So I think I always knew I wanted to work with kids. Like I thought I wanted to go into education. And then I ended up, after college, I had a few opportunities to coach college lacrosse, but I was honestly like pretty burnt out. I was like, I'm good. I need like a break from this.
Right.
So I got a position working for AmeriCorps in Boston, which it was called Metro Lacrosse, and it was the whole kind of um focus was to get kids like off the streets and involved in sports. So that was kind of like a perfect mix. It was just lacrosse kind of provided different avenues for me to figure out what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to work with kids. Um, and obviously having like coming from a place like Notre Dame helped a lot too. Um, so yeah, I did that, and then I moved back home to Rochester, and I was like, you know what, I want to become a counselor. And then that lacrosse piece, just again, with all the clubs, they're always kind of looking for coaches, and um, I think too, just the need for goalie coaches is I've definitely seen an increase in like the want for, like with aces, them reaching out and being like, hey, we need goalie coaches, this is something that is important to us. So yeah, I think I mean, I never really wanted to be a head coach. I think I'm definitely more of an assistant coach. The like relationship building piece is really, which is with my counseling also. I really love that part, and just again be kind of being that coach that they can go to and not really get yelled at or screamed at, but that they can like talk to, and kind of I can help like, you know, recenter them and get them kind of mentally back where they kind of need to be. Um, so yeah, I guess like it's just kind of always been, I think, something that I did, and I ended up being like good at, and then it just kind of different opportunities kind of just like fell into place. So
Yeah, I think I think when you're in it for the right reason, when your why is like strong enough, I think you find your path. And I'm a lot like you. I think I like the assistant role better because I feel you can build a little deeper relationship, like you just
yes,
said. And
yes.
that's, to me, it's about the relationships and the connections. And it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's coaching the goalies is great, but I like to see them being successful, and
Yeah, I completely
graduating, going
agree.
out and being successful. So to me, that's kind of, it all ties together and it's all important, but it's,
Yeah,
that piece is really important to me as well. So
yeah,
super
yeah,
cool.
definitely.
Oh, we've come to question 6. I think they all blended in together tonight. But question 6 is always the leftover question from the previous guest, and um, the question was, how have your coaches? Um, the question would be past or present. So I guess present for you would be ones you work with. How have they? How have they impacted the way, back when you were playing? How did your coaches impact the way you played, and kind of impacted your enjoyment of the game at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, I had some really terrible coaches that really like ruined, this was more college, really ruined like my love for the game. Like I'll never forget my senior year, we were in NCAs, and um like the ball hit my shoulder and went in the goal, and it was the winning goal for them. And I was like relieved. In my whole senior class, we were all just like relieved that we were done, which like to me is just so sad. Because like if as a division 1 athlete, like I was and still am like super competitive, and um so like there's definitely been a lot of like negative experiences I've had with coaches, but I also feel that I'm able to take that and turn it into more of a positive. Like that is, I will never be like that, and I will um it's just, I think, really sad to see. So I think just finding that balance, right, which I definitely had in high school, of like I having like more of a hard ass coach who like there's no mind games, right? It's like, hey, your left hand sucks. Figure out your left hand and then you'll play, right? Like I definitely appreciated that style of coaching a lot more. And then also just like building that relationship with your coach. So I mean, I still say to this day, like the best coaches I ever had were my coaches at Brighton, my high school coaches. You know, it was just like we had a really good program and they knew the game and they still it was they made it hard and they pushed us and motivated us, but also like there were no mind games. Which is really unfortunate. I just feel like I see a lot of that now. Um, so I don't know. I mean, with the good, right, the good and the bad, like I learned so much from the coaches that I really loved and appreciated, but also I learned so much from the coaches that I did not um love or appreciate really. Um, and again, I just think that the like you said before, the relationship piece is so important. I think there's a way to go about pushing kids and you know athletes that you can be hard on them and motivate them and push them, but also show them that like you care about them and you know you want them to do well. So finding that balance I think is so important, and I think a lot of people struggle, a lot of coaches struggle with that, and that's I have so many girls that are like dropping out or they don't want to play anymore. By the time they get to college they're like over it, um which is just sad to me, I think. But yeah, I don't know if that really answers your question either. I just think trying to make the best of all situations and learn from them, and you know just be someone that you believe in your players and you're there to you care about them, you know.
Yeah, I think that's, I think the one thing, even, success or adversity, we learn either way, like you said.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes,
I think again, like you said, it goes back to me for the relationship building, and it's a little. I feel it's a little cliched at this point. You always hear that, oh, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them.
yeah,
And I'm kind of tired of hearing that, but it's the meaning of it's true.
yeah,
I think when you build those relationships, and it's a two-way street, right? With the respect and
yeah,
build that trust, then you don't have to you can be blunt, and you say
yeah,
like left hand sucks,
exactly,
because then they're
exactly,
not they don't shut down, and they still
yes,
know that you're there to make them better.
exactly,
Maybe it all boils down to people's why if you're going to be like that, why are you actually coaching? Is it about you or is it about the athlete?
yeah, exactly,
So yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe that's because we're not head coaches and we don't know.
I know. That's so true.
It's that assistant coach thing, maybe.
Yeah, I know, right? That's a really good point.
Who knows? I probably never will.
I
That's
know.
fine.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I'm busy enough doing what I do right now. I think
Yeah,
I think I'm okay. I'm filling all those goalie gaps around the
yeah,
everywhere I go.
yeah, you really are. I don't know how you do it.
Whew, it's called 2 pots of coffee a day and hardly any sleep. Oh, so as you know, you didn't get any preparation for this. It's probably sweating bullets on that side. What did you think I was going to ask that I didn't ask, and how would you have answered it?
Oh God. Uh, hmm. I guess maybe like hmm.
The
Trying to
toughest question of
think.
the night.
It's a tough question. Um, I guess maybe like what were like some of my strengths and not weaknesses, areas to improve on. as a player, but also as a coach.
I think you answered to some of the strengths
Did
pretty
I?
good. So give me one area of opportunity you would have given me if I asked that.
So an area that I think I like could have improved on, or as a coach or as a player.
Sure.
I think as a player, um, I I definitely like what I had a solid work ethic, but I sometimes I think like coasted a little bit, especially like I don't know, there were definitely times where I think I could have put in a little bit more, which, in college I was having a good time and also trying to keep up with school work and stuff, but um
And don't forget you were the only goalie facing 300
yeah,
minutes of practice or whatever.
true. Um but I just think about sometimes what I could have done, or what ways that I could have been better, and or had a more successful career. Um and that's just like one, I think, coming to practice and like not being super focused at every single practice, but I think that's just like human, also. But I think also as a coach too, like I think um I definitely struggle with like I like avoid conflict at all costs. I hate conflict. I hate which I think can be a good thing, like I how you say things, just being honest, but in a way that is like kind, right? And understanding. I think I do a good job of, but I think sometimes like I get too worried about feelings, hurting someone's feelings. And that's part of the reason I'm like, I could never be a head coach.
Right.
um, but that's something that I feel like I could work on a little bit, is just um I don't know. Now my brain's shutting off.
Yeah, no,
Being more like direct and um holding people accountable. I think that's something too that because I counseled middle school students, and then now working with college age students, I'm like, oh, she's freaking 18 years old. She can do that. I don't need to coddle her or hold her hand. So that's something I'm working on currently, is just like that transition. But
yeah, I can feel that a little bit. I think I tend to be a little too empathetic to the athlete
yes,
sometimes. Like,
yes,
oh, geez, should I really?
yes.
Well, just try harder.
Yeah, just try harder. Sounds like we have a lot in common.
Yeah, again, I'm not super surprised about that.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, to wrap it up for our next guest, who I actually have no idea who it is, what question would you leave them?
Oh, maybe like what? So is the next guest gonna be? It will be a goalie, right? It'll be a
Not
trained.
necessarily. We're
Really?
branching out. It could be a mindset client of mine. It could be a goalie parent.
Oh,
I don't know. I haven't had a goalie parent on here. I'd like to hear what they had to say.
yeah. I guess if it is a parent or a player, like what is like a highlight that they will always remember? Like a game or a practice, or just a when they felt like really good or really accomplished. um I guess could be kind of a cool question to ask.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with that one. Whoever's
Hmm.
next, if you're
I'm
listening.
sure you can word it much better than I can, but
I'll take the meaning of it and put it in the
yeah,
direction of whoever the next guest may
yeah,
be,
yeah, yeah.
but it
That's a
will
good.
have the intent. So, um, Ellie, it's been great chatting with you, catching up. It's been a long while, like we mentioned at the
No.
beginning.
You know, yeah.
I appreciate your time this evening very
Yeah,
much.
this was really fun.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
knew I would enjoy it. I was nervous, but I'm like, at the end, I'm gonna like be so happy I did it. It was
I
fun.
know. I saw you sent me the message saying oh my gosh, I'm really nervous. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? It's first of all, it's only me. Or
Yeah,
the audience is really, there'll probably be more people that know you're on here than I know. So
yeah,
we're all good. It's good.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
still small town, small potatoes on this show. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Well, again, thank you very much for your time this evening. We will have to do this again and we will have
Yeah,
to catch up.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
See
John.
you later. Bye.